We are going to learn about National Curriculum Framework. National Curriculum Framework in India is a guiding document that outlines the principles and guidelines for the development of curriculum and pedagogy in schools. It is designed by NCERT, National Council of Education, Research and Training, to ensure that education in India aligns with the needs of students, society, and the country's development goals. The NCF focuses on several key aspects of education. The key aspects are child-centered learning, inclusive education, value-based education, skill development, interdisciplinary approach, assessment reforms. Child-centered learning, it emphasizes the need for a learner-centric approach where the focus is on the child's needs, child's interest, and developmental stages. Inclusive education, the framework advocates for an inclusive education system that caters to diverse learners, including those with disabilities, different backgrounds, and learning abilities. It emphasizes on value-based education. It stresses the importance of imparting values such as respect for diversity, equality, and social justice. It gives importance on skill development. It encourages a shift towards skill-based education that prepares students for real world challenges and fosters critical thinking, creativity, and problem solving abilities. Interdisciplinary approach. The NCA promotes the integration of subjects, allowing students to make conception across different domains of knowledge. There is a no rigid separation between art, science, and commerce after 10th. Assessment reforms. It encourages a move away from rote learning and supports more holistic and formative assessment methods. The NCF is updated periodically to address emerging educational needs. The most recent version was formulated in the year 2005. The most recent version was formulated in the year 2005. Since then, it has played a central role in shaping school education policies in India. So, it is serve as a comprehensive guideline for schools, educators, and policy makers. The National Curriculum Framework is a pivotal document shaping the education landscape in India. It serves as a comprehensive guidelines for schools, educators, and policy makers, aiming to provide a unified vision for developing and delivering quality education across the nation. So the NCF, the most important aim is to develop quality education across the nation. The NCF plays a crucial role in defining what students should learn, how learning should be assessed, and what educational experiences should be provided to ensure holistic development. So the more emphasis is given by NCF is holistic student development. The National Curriculum Framework is a set of guidelines which is issued by NCERT as a policy documents and general educational tactical action in different schools of India. It provides a system of academic learning which puts emphasis on attainment of education sector objectives as well as qualities found in the international market. What is National Curriculum Framework? National Curricular Framework is a set of guidelines which is issued by NCERT. It provides a system of academic learning which puts emphasis on attainment of educational sector objectives. The vision of NCF is to align the curriculum with global standards. Mission of NCF is to promote inclusive and holistic education. The NCF has the vision of providing for a vibrant and effective system of education to equip the learners to cope up with the future learning environment. Its work is to make the curriculum internationally competitive, but at the same time traditionally Indian oriented. Aligning curriculum with the global standards, the objectives are intended to narrow the gap between the level of existing Indian education and the level of education that will enable Indian students to successfully compete with the students from the rest of the world. Promoting inclusive and holistic education. NCF promotes inclusive and holistic education. The education system should accommodate every kind of child, regardless of physical disability. It comes from any race or gender or socio-economic status, among them being children with special needs. Importance of NCF in Indian education. It gives a format through which equity can be met in the delivery of education content throughout the country. So give equity in the education system. It is used as a guide that assists schools and teachers to mainstream the national desired educational standard. So the educational excellence should be maintained. NCF plays a strategic role in redesigning Indian education to meet the context present day and the current 21st century global standards, to meet with the 21st century global standards. It encourages an experiential activity and competency based education. That education must be learning by doing, hands-on activities, a competency based education system which increase the student interest. Uh, it also incorporates meaningful topics such as multilingualism, values, education, information, and computer technology. So these are importance of NCF in Indian education. NCF further has significant implications in the framework of the Indian education system, since the NCF outlines the basic structure for developing harmony with the mass curriculum prevailing in the India as a whole. It gives a format through which equity can be met in the delivery of education content throughout the country, while at the same time recruiting cultural and language diversity among the regions. The NCF to a large extent facilitates policy informity by having a clear guideline on what ought to be taught at different grades across all types of school, including the public, private, and international schools. It is used as a guide in curriculum development that will assist schools and teachers to mainstream the national desired educational standards and improve students' chance of attaining quality education at schools. It challenges the school to develop an approach that is wider in focus, that simple academic accomplishment, and focuses on cultivating enhanced thinking skills, problem solving skills, and all round abilities that the children will need to further their education and careers. So there must be an improvement in the enhancement in thinking skills, problem solving skills, and all round abilities, so that the children can further proceed in their and successful in their careers. In addition, it points out the NCF strategic role in the process of redesigning Indian education to meet the context present day demands, as well as the current 21st century global education standards, to meet with the 21st century global education standards. Moving away from the traditional approach of the mechanical learnings, rote learning method system, the framework encourages an experiential, hands-on activity, activity-based and competency-based education system, which increases the student interest and improves the comprehension of the subject matter, so that the study is always on focus on the learning by doing method. It also incorporates meaningful topics such as multilingualism, values, education, information, and computer technology, as well as inclusiveness as part of the vision in developing a well-equipped person for the prevailing social context. Also, their compliance with NAP 2020 means a shift from learning that cements one knowledge and provides rigid and skill-based learning that prepares the learner to face the future challenges, engage themselves in the social and economic transformation of the nation. Evolution of NCF over the years. If we move to the move past, in the year 1975, the first general framework was given in the year 1975 and was largely aimed at developing a combined curriculum to redress the educational inequalities across different states. So NCF in 1975, it stressed educational inequalities across different states. In the year 1988, environmental education, value education, and awareness of sustainability and ethics were added in the syllabus as door of globalization were opened. When we move in the year 2002 to 2005, there was a shift in towards more learner centered approaches. So this education must be more the child centered education, which are largely based on activities based learning, child centered education. When we move to the year 2009, it focuses it focused was on upgrading the teachers through the professional development programs so that they get aware of modern teaching techniques. So 2009 focus was on upgrading teachers professional development. In when we moved towards the year 2022 to 23, the NCF latest version includes NCF 2023 and 2022 and 23 centered on the NEP 2020. Evolution of NCF over the years. The first generation framework was formulated in the year 1975 and was largely aimed at developing a combined curriculum to redress the educational inequalities across different states. So in the year 1975, the education system redressed the educational inequalities across different states. Common curriculum stressed core skills such as reading and writing and sought to standardize so that the children are given the same grounding. New and more comprehensive syllabi were developed in the year 1988 by NCF when the door of globalization opened up in India and the societal needs were changed. The NCF 1988 brought some elements of environmental education and value education and awareness of sustainability and ethics. So in the year 1988, the environmental education, value education, awareness of sustainability and ethics were added in the syllabus. This formed the education for later on version where each version built on this and or introduced new concept based on the new issues arising within the framework of education. This hopeful meaning of the NCF 2000 and the NCF 2005 also made a shift in towards more child-centered, learner-centered approaches which incorporated constructivist theories of learning which are largely based on activity-based learning. Particularly important was the NCF 2005 as it emphasized the constructivist approach to learning based on the constructivism principle that stated that student must be active participate in the learning process rather than wrote information passively, getting the information passively. So learning by doing method is mostly emphasized by John Dewey and Piaget. They have stressed on minimizing the load of mugging up and have brought within the framework of evolution a philosophy called continuous and comprehensive evolution for comprehensive assessment of students. So CCE is used from the year NCF 2005 where continuous framework of evolution is brought together. Subsequently, the NCF for Teacher Education 2009 focused on upgrading the teachers through the professional development program so that they get aware of modern teaching techniques. So in the NCF 2009 started a teachers professional development programs so that teachers get aware of the modern teaching methodologies. The NCF latest version include NCF 2022 and 2023 centered on the NEP 2020 that promotes competency-based education, integration of information and communication, technology and skill development in response to the vision of the nation to transform the educational sector to guarantee learners' participation for the future. The evolution of the national curriculum framework, the NCF in envisaged to make the education across India more child-centered and child-friendly, emphasizes on value education and ethical development, back them referred as holistic development of a student for a brighter futures. So NCF is more is child-centered education, emphasize more on child-centered education, child-friendly, and so that the holistic development of a student take place for their brighter futures. Incorporation of cultural diversity into the curriculum, introducing major and modern language was a major part of the change. So, multilingualism is included. Introduction of experiential learnings, hands-on activity, learning by doing, activity-based learnings to engage students better and grab their attention. So, these are the key features the NCF 2000 has given. The education should be child-centered. There should be a holistic development of students, and the major and minor language was a major part of the change, and engage students on experiential learnings, so that holistic development should be taken place. The evolution of the national curriculum framework historical perspective, NCF 2000 envisaged to make the education across India more child-centered and child-friendly. It sought to call for a decrease in the sets of information that learners were required to learn and make learning more interesting to students. It aimed at de-emphasizing the formal academic approach and put a lot of the concentration on the practical approaches. Key features and focus area of NCF 2000, it emphasized on value education and ethical development, back then referred as holistic development of students for a brighter futures. Incorporation of cultural diversity into the curriculum, introducing major and modern languages was a major part of this change. Introduction of experiential learnings to engage students better and grab their attention. NCF 2005. NCF 2005 specifically replaced traditional methodologies of teachings, lecture methods of teaching used by the teachers. It replaced it. It encouraged interactive and participatory learning methods. It shifted from teacher-centered to student-centered learning. So NCF 2005 replaced traditional methodologies of teachings, increase the student participation, and it should be student-centered learning. Integration of life skills and critical thinking. So NCF 2005 integrated life skill and critical thinking in the curriculum. NCF 2005 replaced traditional methodologies of teaching with the constructivist approach, often referred to. This approach highlighted the fact that learners build their knowledge congruent with the experience they undergo. Emphasis on constructivist approach, focus on understanding concept rather than rote memorization, focusing on quality over quantity, and concentrating on learning with a hint of innovation. Encourage interacting and participatory learning methods. Impact on education, what is NCF 2005? It shifted from teacher-centered to student-centered learning, because the methodology used is the experiential method of teaching. Integration of life skills and critical thinking into the curriculum for students to taught manners, disciplines, and skills that makes them ready for the future, that can make them individuals with a strong willpower. So there is an integration of life skill and critical thinking into the curriculum in the NCF 2000s. The students will be ready for the futures that can make them with strong willpower and good human being. Widespread implementation of CCE, continuous and comprehensive evolution, should be promoted in the NCF 2005. NCF for teacher education 2009. What NCF has done, has taken the major changes for teacher education in the year 2009 to meet the emerging classroom needs and the new teaching pedagogy. It emphasized the preparation of teachers as instructional leaders, as a facilitators. Emphasis on teachers' empowerment and professional growth. Introduction of reflective practices in teaching. NCF for teacher education 2009, to meet the emerging classroom needs and the new teaching pedagogy. The NCF for teacher education 2009 was being formulated. It emphasized the preparation of teachers as instructional leaders, as facilitators, rather than merely as transmitters of information. Emphasis on teachers' empowerment and professional growth to ultimately use it for betterment of students. Introduction of reflective practices in teaching to maintain engagement and boost the interest of a student toward more skill-based practical learning. This framework has been particularly influential in informing the development of teacher education programs to ensure development of necessary teaching skills that support an exciting learning environment. NCF 2022 and 23, it represents a significant shift towards developing competency-based education models. So this totally rely on the competency-based education models, promotion of 21st century skills, it greater focus on personalized and adaptive learning methods. It has introduced many changes due to the growth in technology. So NCF 2022 and 23 shift towards competency-based education models, promotes 21st century skills, adapted, personalized, and adapting learning methods due to the growth in technology. So NCF 2022 and 23 developed in response to NEP 2020's call for pedagogy focused on learning outcomes rather than the traditional curriculum centered on syllabus coverage cater to the needs of students aged 3 to 18. So NCF 2022 and 23 developed in response to National Education Policy 2020 so that that's the learning outcomes not only rely on the traditional curriculum, it should be catered to the needs of student age 3 to 18. These frameworks represent a significant shift towards developing competency-based education models and integrating digital competency. So NCF 2022 and 23, there is a significant shift toward the education should be competency-based education, and there is an integration of technology in their into their curriculum. The promotion of 21st century skills, also referred as a skills. The soft skills including problem solving skills, creativity, digital literacy, cognitive skills, creativity. Greater focus on personalized and adaptive learning methods, mainly focus on skill-based learning. So it is focusing, the NCF 2022 and 23 is mainly focusing on competency-based education models and focusing on skill-based learning. It has introduced many changes due to the growth in technology with the use of ICT being embraced in the teaching learning process. So technology being embraced in the teaching learning process. The integration of the solution in question is expected to enhance the experience students get in their learning institution, fostering engagement, interaction, as well as making it easy for learner across the country to access resources and content that enriches their studies. With the help of technologies such as AI, artificial intelligence, augmented reality, and application in education, the NCF pictures the modern classroom as one that is intelligent and responsive to individual learning needs. So there is with the help of technology such as the artificial intelligence, augmented reality, and application in education, there is a presence of modern classrooms which is responsible for the individual, which gives the better outputs to the individual learning needs. It also transforms education to make the students ready for the 21st century through developing different skills in the endeavors of technology, making students create in technology solution in the futures. National Curriculum Framework 2022 is a comprehensive policy paradigm of India's education structure, which lays the foundation of vision and policy framework for the national curriculum framework. So NCF 2020 is a comprehensive policy, a paradigm of India's education structure. It is hoped that the framework will help to transform the current system of education by introducing a student-centered, a learner-centered approach, competency-based system, and the full development of the learner, that is the holistic development of the learner, take place not only in academic, but also physically, socially, emotionally, and psychologically. Key changes in NCF 2022, it's a competency-based learning. The learning should be competency-based. Unlike the traditional methods of learning, where they were giving more emphasis on rote learnings, that teach the student through wrote the NCF 2022 focus on. So the NCF 2022 focuses on the competency and skill acquired by the students. So it emphasizes more on the competency based learning. It is designed to foster actual grasp of the content, problem solving skills, and application in the real world situation. So the education is must be competency based learning. The student is able to grasp the concept, problem, enhance their problem solving skills, creativity, critical thinking skill, cognitive skills, and application in the real, and able to use their application in the real world situations. There must be a holistic education system. NCF 2022 encourages development of students holistically, not only their intellectually, but the student must be developed physically, psychologically, emotionally, socially as well. It introduced the use of life skills, environmental issues and aspects, and digital literacy as part of the curriculum, as part of a preparation for the future. Key changes in NCF 2022, flexible and inclusive curriculums. According to the NCF 2022, the curriculum must be flexible and it should be must be promotion of inclusive education. This flexibility of NCF 2022 makes it unique to implement in favor of diversifying learning needs and preferences of students. This conceptual framework of curricular programs is to include all children with learning ability and or socio-cultural diverse needs. It focuses on foundational literacy and numeracy. Not surprisingly, the NCF 2022 lays significant stress on foundational literacy and numeracy for the former years of schooling for the preschool children. This corresponds with the government's vision in the NAP 2020 of attaining 100% basic competency in literacy and numeracy by grade 3. Integration of Indian education system. The framework aims at integrating indigenous forms of learning, indigenous languages, and indigenous values to provide education to students which have Indian origin but have global orientation. It provides revised method of assessment. There has been a recommendation that over-reliance on achievement tests should be done away with and replaced with a better method of assessing learning. Assessment of the new method is based on competency and skills as well as knowledge rather than rote learning. Implementation of teacher training under NCF 2022. The extent to which the NCF 2022 will be successful will depend on its implementation, which entails the process of reviewing and policy writing and development, reviewing and revising curriculum, text and teachers. Teachers' professional practice is continuously developed further when implementing the curriculum, which enables them to create the learning environment that accords with the mentioned framework. Introduction and context about the NCF 2023, a new paradigm in education. NCF 2023 is anticipatory since it has been fashioned to meet future needs of education in the 21st century. It complements the NEP 2020 vision on transformative education to the later. Structural changes and new pedagogical approaches, the use of four-tied system, foundation, preparatory, middle, and secondary, 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4, is a much more sensible way of addressing the developmental stages of a child. Core principle of NCF. The most important core principles of NCF is that education must be child-centric and flexible learning approaches, integration of life skills and value education, experiential and activity-based learnings, focus on multilingualism and regional diversity. Child-centering and flexible learning approaches, learners' needs therefore receive priority at the national curriculum framework, which supports a learner child-centered learning style. Integration of life skills and value education. There must be integration of life skills and value education into the curriculum. Value, ethics, and essential life skills are guided in the framework to make students all-round development possible, so that the holistic development of a student take place. Being aware of the necessity to equip students with capacities for genuine extramural life, the NCF has emphasized the needs to address life skills and value education as the curriculum focal points. Hence, life skill like financial and emotional intelligence or problem solving will be infused in learning activity. It equally provides for ethical and value education by making sure that learners have sound moral personality. This benevolent approach is designed for a student to become a responsible, empathetic, and socially responsible person. So the students should be developed for the futures, their holistic development take place, and they should be responsible, empathetic, sympathetic, and socially responsible, successful person. Focus on multilingualism and regional diversity. NCF reflects the linguistic diversity of India, making education in the mother language. In early years, as one of the organizational principle of the framework, NCF 2023 lays furthermore stress on the use of Indian indigenous knowledge system and encourages multilingual learning. So as it is in social content specification, which makes use of regional languages and traditional knowledge to make learning culturally sensitive as possible. Lastly, it brings to light the students' contact with their roots. The student must contact with their roots in addition to the additional global outlooks. In addition, they enhance children's cognitive skills and maintaining multilingualism in India, since learners can be bound to their initial mother tongue to get proper comprehension of lessons for superior result in their early education stages. So focus on multilingualism. It is important the student to get the proper comprehension of lesson for superior result in their early education stages. It focuses on experiential and activity-based learnings. Here the NCF focuses on activity-based learnings, learning by doing methods, hands-on activities, whereby most of the teaching and learning activities are learned practically with a lot of fun. Competency-based education in NCF 2023. It is important to understand what competency-based education or CBE for short. CBE can be defined as an education system that concentrates its delivery on competency rather than on subject knowledge. This should come up with learners that are in a position to apply that knowledge in problem solving in real life. Among the changes introduced to the latest NCF 2023, the changes are the concept of competency-based education has a special place. Contrary to the strategies of memorized learning, the rote memory style of learning, they are still employed in some of the institutions. Competency-based education aims at the cultivation of competency among the learners. This means that the student is assessed on how well they are able to solve problems that a real life situation by coming up with solution on their own. So it is the competency-based education the students are able to develop holistically to cope up with the real life situations. The types of assessment have also changed with an emphasis on those which are formative in that they provide information regarding the student's performance for purpose of learning rather than for evaluation purpose, like end of term examination. Examples of competency-based curriculum in India: concentration on science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, as well as development on information technology. The second change that needs to be incorporated in the curriculum is a combination of concept in financial literacy and entrepreneurship. Benefits of competency-based approach. The benefits are it improved personal learning conducted to suit every learner depending on the student's performance. It improves strategies for tracking student performance in order of skills and competency collected. So we have, with the help of this, teachers can track, or parents can track student performance based on their skills and competencies. National Curriculum Assessment Framework. The NCF 2023 proposes a significant shift in the education sector towards formative assessment, focusing on continuous evolution rather than one-time exams. CCE plays an important role in assessing both academic and non-academic aspects of a student's development. Shift from rote learning to formative assessment. The NCF 2023 proposes a significant shift in the education sector towards formative assessment, focusing on continuous evolution rather than one-time exams, ensuring overall development and long-lasting impact with better accountability and scope of improvements. Role of continuous and comprehensive evolution. CCE plays an important role in assessing both academic and non-academic aspects of a student development based on soft skills, time management, and even problem-solving capabilities. So with the help of CCE, continuous and comprehensive evolution, the student's development take place. The development should be on soft skills, time management, and even for problem-solving capabilities. The National Curriculum Framework for Teacher Education 2009 and beyond. Addressing the needs of modern classroom, the NCF for Teacher Education 2009 was established with the aim of making teachers ready to face and control the changing nature of classrooms. They endeavors to locate moralistic teaching principles put forth in the work, demonstrating that teachers would also follow the highest standards of conduct. Revised framework and the road ahead, the post 2023 development priorities are concerned with the use of information, ICT and information technology and other innovative pedagogy approaches. The following are the consequences or outcomes of the implementation of NCF in schools, self-implementation of the components of NCF in schools. In order to effectively implement the components of NCF in schools, several outcomes mentioned below are expected to be achieved. How schools are implementing? There are challenges in implementation. Schools are facing great difficulties. Experience in schools are attributable to regional inequality, poor funding, and concern over autonomy from pre-specified conventional practices. Role of educational technology. Various technologies and technologies have been helpful in promoting the standard provided for the NCF guidelines. So there is a role of educational technology in the NCF. The concept for cognition and knowledge and the importance of stakeholders. What are the importance of stakeholders? The implementation of NCF in the teaching learning process is the responsibility of teachers with the following function. It instructs the teachers play a role model, vital role model in the learning process, moving from being viewed as agents of knowledge transfer. What are the role of parents and community? This agrees with the general notion that the parental involvement plays an important role in the rendering of NCF. Such participation from the community is useful as far as development of curriculum is concerned due to the creation of a favorable environment. Challenges faced in implementation. There are major challenges: teaching learning infrastructures, interstate equality, the scarcity of qualified teachers. Criticism also faced towards the NCF. Several scholars have pointed out that technology is becoming the leading mode of delivering education, yet many students cannot afford it because of its socioeconomic poor condition. Another challenge lies in finding the right balance between standardization and flexibility as a strategic emphasis. What lies ahead for NCF? The future NCF is expected to adapt the best practices from around the world and incorporate artificial intelligence and other emerging technologies into teaching and the curriculum. So, National Educational Curriculum Framework is the most progressive change in the Indian education system to hone young learners for the future towards sustainable education for the holistic students' development. They believe it could be help eliminate learning gaps and help design the curriculum of the future, thus developing an integrated one.